We continue now at the top of Daf Samech Gimel Amud Aleph in Meseches Nedarim. This is Nedarim Daf 63a. And the previous summer, the Gemara had a machlokas tanoim in the Mishnah. Let's say a person says ad hageshamim, they make the neder until the rains. So the machlokas is whether that means until it actually rains or whether it means until the time of the rain. And Rabbi Zera says that's only true when the neder is ad hageshamim. But if the language of the neder is ad hageshem, so in that situation everybody agrees that it just means until the time of the rain. And the Gemara says, Meisvei, we have a question from the following Tosefta. The Tosefta says, Ezuhi zmana shel revia. So what is the time of the rain? Havachira begimel, beinanis beshiva, afela be'esrim ushlosha. Bechira means the earliest rain, the first rain, that's going to be in the 3rd of Mar Cheshvan. The middle rain, the second rain, is going to be the 7th of Mar Cheshvan. And the afela, the later rain, is going to be the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'shiva uv'shiva aser uv'esrim u'shlosha. Rabbi Yehuda says that the dates are the 7th, the 17th, and the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. Rabbi Yossi Omer b'shiva aser uv'esrim u'shlosha uv'chodesh kislev. Rabbi Yossi says the dates are the 17th of Mar Cheshvan, the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan, and Rosh Chodesh Kislev. V'chein haya Rabbi Yossi Omer, and similarly Rabbi Yossi says ein hayachidim misanin. The special individuals, that's the leaders of the community, they don't start fasting for rain ad sheyagia Rosh Chodesh Kislev, until Rosh Chodesh Kislev arrives and it still hasn't rained. That's when they begin to rain. So we say on that Tosefta as follows. We've said on that Tosefta. B'shloma Ravia Rishona, I understand why you're identifying the date of the first rain, Lishal. That's because you're identifying it because that's when we begin to ask for the rain, when we daven. And Shlishis, you're identifying the third time of the rain. That's L'Hisanos. That makes a difference in terms of when we begin to fast. If it hasn't started raining, by the time the date of the third rain arrives, so then we start to fast. Elashniya Lamai, but why are you identifying the second date of the rain, the date of the second rain? What nafkamina and halacha does that make? V'yomer Rabbi Zera, and Rabbi Zera said on that, l'noder, the nafkamina is in terms of a neder, meaning to say that if you make a neder until the time of the rain, so we're really going on the time of the second rain. V'yamrina nolan, we say on that, Kiman oz lahadatanya, who does the following Braisa follow, the following Tosefta? It says, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Geshamim sheyardu shiva yamim zachar zeh. Let's say you have a situation where it rains 7 days, one right after the other. We'll see that in a moment. Atamona bahen revia rishona ushniya. So you can count that as the first and the second rain. And we say, come on, who does that follow? Rabbi Yossi. That follows Rabbi Yossi, meaning Rabbi Yossi over here, when he says shiva aser esrim ushlosha chodesh kislev, that's the same Tana over here that says that if it's 7 days, you can count that as the first and the second rain. And the Mefarish over here explains, V'yomer Rabbi Zera l'noder. So first again, Rabbi Zera said the nafkamina of when the second rain is makes a difference in terms of someone who makes a neder. The hanoder beinat hageshem beinat geshamim. Now this is the point. If a person makes a neder, whether they say ad hageshem or whether they say ad hageshamim, Asr ad zman revia shniya. It's asr until the time of the second rain. Umashma bein shamar ad hageshem and bein damar ad hageshamim. It sounds like from this Tosefta that it doesn't make a difference whether you're saying geshem or geshamim, and that again that goes against Rabbi Zera on the previous Amud, because Rabbi Zera on the previous Amud says it does make a nafkamina what you say. If you say ad hageshem, you for sure mean the time of the rain. If you say ad hageshamim, so then it's questionable whether it means the time of the rain or the actual rain. And the Mefarish continues, V'amrina Allah Kiman Ozla Kiman Rabbi Yossi. And then again we say, who is Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel following when he talks about 7 days, one after the other, means to say it follows Rabbi Yossi. Why? To miyom yud zayin ad yom chav gimel. The point is over here as follows, that according to Rabbi Yossi, from the 17th of Mar Cheshvan to the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan, have a shiva yomim. It is 7 days. He's the one that has a 7-day period between the first and the second rain. The Rabbi Meir lo have elahei yamim, because according to Rabbi Meir, it's only a 5-day span. So the point over here is that Rav Shimon ben Gamliel is saying it's exactly 7 days between the date of the first rain and the second rain, and that's why the Tosefta of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel of Shiva Yamim Zachar Zeh is following Rabbi Yossi. In any case, the Mefarish says, Alma, what do you see from this? The Afilu Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, even Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, because he's the one quoted in the second Tosefta, even Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, Demekel, who's the one that's Demekel Hacha Gabe Nedarim Da'amar Achiagia Zamana Shel Ravi. He's the one that's Mekel by Nedarim, and he says that when we say Geshamim, we're talking about the time of the rain, not the actual rain. Afal Pishadayin Lo Yarda, even though it didn't actually rain, the neder is over once the time arrives. Svira Leia Tamona Rishona Shnia. He's the one that holds that we count those rains as the first and second. V'lo Rishona Bilvad, again, if it rains for 7 days straight, we don't say it's just the first rain, we say it's the first and second. Lo Shna Da'amar Ad HaGeshem, Lo Shna Da'amar Ad HaGeshem, and it doesn't matter if you say until the Geshem, doesn't matter if you say until the Geshamim, you're going to count it as the second rain if it rains for 7 days straight. And the point is that it's going by the actual rain, V'kashal Rabbi Zera, and it's difficult according to Rabbi Zera. And the Ran over here elaborates on the question for Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, L'divreim d'Rabbanan ka'amarlu. What's happening over here is that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel in the Tosefta, he's talking to the Rabbanan according to their opinion. Again, their opinion was when you say Ad HaGeshamim, it means until the actual rain. And he's saying as follows: L'didi lo kapidna b'noder b'yiridas geshamim klal ela bezman. And he's saying, according to me, I don't care about when the rain actually falls. I only care about the date. Ela l'didchu, but according to you, that you care about the actual falling of the rain. Nehida kapdisu b'yirida mamish. Granted that you want the rain to actually come down. Odu li mias, but you should at least admit to me. Di'afal pisha aschalas yiridas and haisam maschelas mitchilas revir rishona v'lo pasku. Even though it started to rain at the beginning of the first date of the rain and it never stopped, it rained consistently until the second date. Afilu hachi odu li, but still you should admit to me dekevan shenimshechu ad revia shnia, that since it continued to rain until the second date of the rain, Torah's revia shnia aleim, that should count as the second rain. V'shalom leis man nidre, and therefore the time of the neder should be complete. That's what Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is saying to the Tanakama in that Tosefta. Because al kadaitoch de v'noder ad hageshem askina. Now, right now we think that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is talking about a case, the same case as Rabbi Zera, where you don't say ad hageshamim, but you say ad hageshem. Ta'achi avor chayu de inchi, because that's the normal way to make the neder. V'yamisal de Rabbi Zera de amar de ba'ad hageshem kulhu modu de ad sheyagia zman kamar. Now, if it's true what Rabbi Zera said, that when you say ad hageshem, you mean the date, the time of the rain. Hechi amar lu Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. So what's Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel saying to the Rabbanan? Odu li mias, admit to me that if it continued to rain and it actually came down 7 days straight, that's the second rain. But what's the difference? Umayiriya yardu. What's the difference if it came down? Afilu lo yardu klal, even if it didn't rain at all. Kaven dechi nader ad hageshem, because if you say ad hageshem, amar v'higia zman shel Rav Yishni, and the date came, l'kuli alma shalom nidre. So then everybody agrees that the neder is complete. So that's why from this discussion, which is really a back and forth between the Rabbanan and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, it is clear that even by a situation of ad hageshem, there's a machlokus whether we're talking about the date of the rain or no. The Rabbanan say we're not talking about the date of the rain, we're talking about the actual rain. So that is the question on Rabbi Zera. And the Gemara answers, Hahuda Amar Ad HaGeshamim. That discussion between Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and the Rabbanon, it's not talking about when you say Ad HaGeshem, because again, when you say Ad HaGeshem, that is certainly talking about the time of the rain. The case over here is where you say Ad HaGeshamim, and that's where there was a machlokas tanoim, whether it's the actual rain or the time of the rain, and that's why Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is saying, in a situation of Ad HaGeshamim, at least you should admit to me that if it rains for 7 days straight, that is considered the actual rain. The Ran over here explains, what he's saying is, if it's Ad HaGeshem, you're right. The time, the date of the rain is enough. Here we're talking, what do you say, Ad HaGeshamim? This is the proper parish, and the Ran over here goes on to explain the Rosh's approach, which is slightly different. We'll read that as well. Some say that Rabbi Zera was really saying as follows: that the machlokas in the Mishnah, but everybody agrees there's a machlokas in the Mishnah if it's the actual rain or the date of the rain, but everybody agrees it's the second rain. Dafka. One says it's until it comes down, and one says it's until the date. That's only when you say Ad HaGeshamim. But according to this approach, what Rabbi Zera was saying was, if you say Ad HaGeshem, then you mean until the time of the rain, Dahainu Revia Rishona, which means the first time, the first date of the rain. One says until the first rain actually comes down. The other one says until the date of the first rain arrives. Dafka, only until the date. In other words, according to this second approach, and this is again the approach of the Rosh, Rabbi Zera was really saying that if you say Ad HaGeshem, it's not the second rain that is fundamental, but the first rain. Really, when he uses the term machlokas, that's really not so accurate. It really means lo shanu. This whole discussion is by Ad HaGeshamim, but it's not by Ad HaGeshem. Now, if you take that approach, it's obvious what the question is. So the question from Rav Shimon ben Gamliel was, Damar Atamona ben Ravia Rishona Ushnia. He mentions the second rain, not the first rain. Alma afilu amar ad hageshem. Even when you say ad hageshem, it's the second rain that's critical. The kasal kadaitach devhachi askinan mitzar ad revi shnia. That's what we think he means. Asr until the second rain. Umefarkinan hahuda amar ad hageshem. And again, the answer is the same. That's talking about when you say ad hageshamim, not ad hageshem. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Konem yayin she'eni toim l'shana. Let's say a person says that I'm not going to taste wine for this year. Nesabra hashana, if it turns out to be a leap year, aser ba'u be'ibura. He's aser during the whole year, including that additional month, Adar Sheni. Ad Rosh Adar, let's say a person says until Rosh Adar, that's when the neder applies. That means Ad Rosh Adar Harishon. That means until the beginning of Adar Rishon, and then the neder ends. Ad Sof Adar, if the person says until the end of Adar, Ad Sof Adar Harishon, that means until the end of the first Adar. The Mesoras Hashah says that some have the Girsa Ad Sof Adar Sheni, that it's until the end of the second Adar when you say Ad Sof Adar. And the Gemara says, Alma, we see from the Mishnah, Stama da Adar, de Ka'amar Rishon, that when a person says Adar, it generally means the first Adar. Lema Masnisin Reb Yehuda. Let us say that our Mishnah follows the opinion of Reb Yehuda. The Tanya, as we learned in a Braisa, Adar Harishon, Kosev Adar Harishon. It says that if it's Adar Harishon, you write Adar Harishon. But Adar Sheni, but if it's Adar Sheni, so Kosev Adar Stam. So then when you're writing down what month it is, you just write Adar, meaning if you just write Adar, that implies the second Adar. Divrei Rabbi Meir, that's the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says Adar Harishon Kosev Stam. If it's Adar Harishon, that's when you just write Stam, that it's Adar. But Adar Sheni Kosev Tinyon. But if it's Adar Sheni, then you write that it's the second Adar. So you see over here that Rabbi Yehuda seems to say the Stam Adar refers to Adar Rishon, and that's also what our Mishnah seems to say. And the Gemara continues, Amar Abaya says, Afilu Tamer Rabbi Meir. You could even say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, even though by shtaros, by documents, Rabbi Meir says that if you have a situation of writing Adar in a document, if you write Adar Stam, it means Adar Sheni. But over here in our Mishnah, Hada Yada de Ma'abra Shasa, Hada Lo Yada, it depends if you know there was a leap year, or if you didn't realize that there was a leap year. The Mefarish over here explains, Afilu Tamer Masnisin Rabbi Meir. You could even say our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. Umasnisin could go into Lo Yada de Ma'abra Shasa. Now in our Mishnah, the case is where the person doesn't know that it's going to be a leap year. Hilkach, therefore, ki amar stam adar harishon mashma. If the person just says adar, it's obvious he means the first adar because he didn't even know there was going to be a second adar. V'lo hasheni, he doesn't mean the second one. Shalon eskavin ela adar hasamach l'shvat. He means the adar that is near shvat. Ubraisa the katani adar hasheni kosev stam. And the braisa which says that according to Rabbi Meir, if it's adar sheni, so then you write adar stam, then you just write adar. Could go into yada the ma'abrashasa. That's talking about when the person realizes it's a leap year, so he knows there's two adars. V'chiyamar adar stam, mashma adar hasheni. So when he says adar stam, that means adar hasheni. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Samech Gimel Amud Beis.